Go. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Rock Fantasy Files. I'm your host, Stephen Keeler, owner of the world-famous Rock Fantasy Record Smoke Shop and Pinball Menagerie here in Middletown, New York. I am also broadcasting from what we call the Rock Fantasy Studio Bunker. And tonight, we set the time machine back 10 years to the year 2014. And we're going to chat on our favorite releases from that year. Of course, they will all be celebrating 10th anniversaries. Where did the 10 years go? Because it seems like some of these albums are almost new when I look over the list. And then an ode to the mighty Casey Kasem will be counting down the top releases from that year, because we lost Casey on June 15th in 2014. And I was always a big fan of the American Top 40 growing up. And I can't do a Casey Kasem voice. Maybe somebody else can. And here's some headlines from that year, as I did last week. In the NFL football, Seattle Seahawks defeated the Denver Broncos 43-8 in the Super Bowl. The NHL, the LA Kings defeated the New York Rangers 4-1. And
Boo.
Stanley Cup, they're booing. And the MLB, the San Francisco Giants defeated the Kansas City Royals in 7 games. In the NBA, the Spurs defeated the Miami Heat 4-1. The 98th Indy 500 was won by Ryan Hunter-Reay. Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the Daytona 500. And for those people across the pond, Lewis Hamilton won the 2014 Formula One World Championship. And the top grossing film of the year was The Guardians of the Galaxy.
Was that 10 years ago?
That's 10 years ago?
10 years ago for the first one.
It's like, wow.
That's got to be a typo.
Yeah.
No, Google it. Now, I see that Steve Levin is texting me right now going, "What's up?" So maybe Steve is going to join us. I'm going to just quickly text him back.
And get your ass over here.
If he wants to do the show, to show up and be with us here. On.
Guardians of the Galaxy was a fun movie, I remember. I think it's probably one of my favorites because it's just fun. They're not taking themselves too serious.
It was a great movie. I didn't think I'd like it at first. I didn't watch it when it first came out, and I really enjoy the soundtrack. Of course, talking about American Top 40 and Casey Kasem here in the U.S., it was all like 70s rock hits, and it really turned that on to a whole generation of kids.
For sure, yeah. I thought it was a kids movie, and then I watched it. It's like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was like one of those old age movies. Like the parents liked it, the kids liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what's going on here. And we're recording already. I'm being very unprofessional because Steve said he is trying to get in. Says he's waiting for a host.
He has done it before. Tell him.
Tell him to try to log in again. Log out.
All right.
That's what it told me when I tried to get on. I just waited it out.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, while we're doing this, I think we're going to start off with in the room tonight, we got Omar, also known as the Ravenous Ghoul. He's been on the channel a couple of times. I reached out to him because I know he's in the New York metal scene at that time, and I used to see him at a bunch of shows and figured he'd be pretty knowledgeable. We got Robert Tuttle, bassist from Lady Evil tonight. We got Ove from the Norway, staying up all night as usual. We got Count Ralphus, we got Tony Dio, and we got Tracy Stanton in the room tonight. So we're going to talk 2014. I'm going to start off with Ove again tonight. You're going first. While we try to get Steve Levin in, for some reason it's not showing up for me to invite him right now. So.
All right. I had a heck of a time with this assignment because there's a lot to choose from. Well, I think I'm going to start with my number 5 is Djevel Kult, or Devil Cult, is a Norwegian black metal band. And the album is called in the Djevelens Tegn, or in the Sign of the Devil. It's pure raw black metal, like it's supposed to be, like because Norway had like a little hiccup in the early 2000s, but we rose up again around this time, and there's like a lot of bands that did come after, let's say 2012 to 13. There was a lot of good old raw black metal that came. Songs I like from this album is "Blinded by the Light of God," "In the Shadow of the Damned," and "Enslaved in Flesh." Check it out. It's Devil Cult. It's Devil Cult, but you have to exchange the V with a G and a E.
Okay.
And you get. As for number 4, I have Aborted with the Necrotic Manifesto.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I was looking at a page like that ranking of the albums, and it was a little below the rest of the albums, but I don't get it because it's one hell of album, and the
Yes, it
artwork
is.
is so cool. I'm like, what's the matter with you people? The songs I really liked was of Dead Skin and Decay, and Coffin Upon Coffin, and the Davidian Descent. Oh yes.
Cool.
Number 3 is Australian outfit that I'm friends with called Aversion's Crown. The album is called Tyrant, and it's kind of a xenomorph or alien theme-based band. They sing about aliens and shit. Like, so it's really cool for me. I really like the song "The Glass Nuts," "Fate Collapsing," and "Xenoforms." That's number 3. As number 2 is Finland, and it's Sargeist. It's a Finnish black metal band, raw black metal that's been around since the 90s. It's really good stuff, and the album is called "Feeding the Crawling Shadows."
All right.
Check it out. It's good stuff. Songs I like there is "Return of the Rats," "Feeding the Crawling Shadows," and "The Shunned Angel." My number 1 is from Austria, and it's of course Belfagor,
Cool.
"Conjuring the Dead,"
Nice.
produced by Eric Rutan. Favorite songs is "Conjuring the Dead," "Legions of Destruction," and "In Death."
Excellent.
That's it for me, guys. Bye.
Cool. All right. So we'll go back around for your honorable mentions. And if you guys got 10, give us 10 now. We'll come back for honorable mentions as we're going around. Steve, sorry about that. For some reason, it was weird. It wasn't showing me anybody
Am I
wanting to
doing
get in the
Dennis
room the whole
picks
time.
now?
Well,
Am
yeah,
I doing Dennis picks later?
oh yeah, he does have Denny Bart's picks. Denny couldn't make it. He's going to see Guar and hanging out with Robin Mason tonight. I don't know. Is Gruesome opening up for that, or is she doing merch on that tour?
She must be doing merch. I don't think Gruesome's
Yeah,
playing.
probably. Yeah. All right. I wasn't aware. I wasn't even aware Guar was touring, but
No, me
All
either.
right, so for Dennis, first or number 5 is Go Tour with the Constricting Rage of Merciless.
yep.
Number 4 is Incantation with Rise of Asylum, I think, and Electric Wizard, Time to Die. Number 3, Pallbearer with Foundations of Burden. Number 2, and Triptychon with some, Triptychon album is number 1. I can't read what Milano something.
Okay. You can't read it. And there's a prop for the Go Horror. Boom.
All right.
That
Anyhow,
is literally my favorite band name of all time.
was it?
I mean, you just
Mighty
can't,
Whore.
you can't go wrong. It's the best.
It's a good one. Cool. So let's head on over to Mr. Robert Tuttle. What do you got to talk about tonight?
All right, I have 5 or 6. They're no apparent order because a lot of these I would put on when I was in my dark room and not pay attention to the tracks and just dig the overall vibe of it.
Mm-hmm.
So Iced Earth, Plagues of Babylon would be one of them. I would have that on there, and I always have to kind of edge myself back so I'm not over agitating my trays and overdeveloping my film. But a little bit of the Pretty Reckless, Going to Hell. They kind of they were kind of like lighter at that time, but you know
I've heard of those.
it went over good. You know, this is not like a new. Well, it is a new release, but the Dio tribute thing, that This Is Your Life with Hailstorm, Motorhead, Doro,
Okay. Yeah.
Glenn Hughes. I mean, and I saw Glenn Hughes like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. If you haven't seen Glenn Hughes, man, your concert list is not complete. That guy is, what is he, 70 years old, and he flat out brings it. He's still amazing. His voice, he doesn't put a lot of processing. He's like, he could teach kids how to sing. That guy is great. To see him doing, some of the old Deep Purple stuff, that's a treat. I went for Yngwie, because Yngwie was the headliner, and Glenn Hughes was opening, and like he came out and he did Burn, and I just was like beside myself. I'm literally like looking at this guy going like, why do I play? Why bother?
He does catch the rainbow. She do catch the rainbow on that Dio tribute, I believe. Correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Motorhead one was pretty good. I like that. I'm a big Lemmy fan. It's not really DOE, but yeah, that was still pretty good.
The Metallica medley was good.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they were all like big Dio fans. As am I. That's why we have a Dio tribute band.
True.
This is probably not going to be a popular pick. There's one song on there that I'm totally trash, is Ace Frehley's Space Invader. The Joker, gotta go. But I can say that for the original
version. Prop.
Too,
Ralph's got the album there.
Yeah. Give Me a Feeling. Actually, I'm kind of friends with John Ostrowski, and he was one of the co-writers on there. So it's kind of cool to see like somebody I know on an Ace album. And it's overprocessed, I think, and it's getting kind of machinized and stuff, but it's still Ace. So on top of that, the Loudness release, The Sun Will Rise Again. Kind of a big Loudness fan. I think the guitar player, pretty underrated. He gets a little repetitious. He gets some of the second verse same as the first, a little bit louder, a little bit worse sometimes. But yeah, he's really good, and he writes some crunchy riffs, which I kind of like. They got that bite to him. They're all like very staccato almost, and he, he's definitely, here in the States, I think he's underappreciated.
We're still waiting for him. Huh? We're still waiting for them.
Yeah, how many times?
They keep saying they're coming.
Yeah, you would know because you're kind of into this stuff. How many times have they announced a tour and then not got their visas?
The last
up to 20?
Like 5, yeah.
Yeah, we up to 20 yet. It's got to be close because I know they've announced it at Dingbats like 3 or 4 different times, and they were no call, no show.
Yeah,
they just disappeared, which I don't get. I mean, you're coming, you're not. I mean, if you got paperwork, but that's not for me to say.
Yeah,
so my top pick,
'80 with Triumph and Mountain at the Meadowlands on Thunder in the East.
I saw that tour. I was there.
Oh, you saw that tour? That's sick. Yeah.
Wow.
I saw talking about Loudness. I saw Loudness at Club Manhattan's too back in those days, and I did see Loudness later on at the Chance.
So I'm like, about 20 years ago.
It has to be. That's probably the last time they were around. Maybe
they toured. They toured in 2006. Was their comeback tour?
That must have been when we were there.
That's probably pretty close. Yeah.
Didn't they play at a record store in Long Island?
What's that?
I thought they played at a record store in Long Island. If it's Loudness from Japan, you're talking about.
Yeah.
At the GB's, what's called the record store in Long Island?
I'm not sure at all. I'm not too familiar with Long Island.
I mean, they might have because they didn't pack the Chance, and that's only 750.
No, they didn't back then.
They might have filled a record store, but they didn't have any hits really per se. Only a couple of MTV hits. They didn't really have any like radio play or
Rock and Roll Crazy Nights.
Rock and Roll Crazy Nights, man, that is a great song.
Yeah.
And they have songs that's almost that good that didn't get any attention whatsoever. Black Star Oblivion, I mean, that was like great. What's the other song? The first time, Let It Go. That's right in the middle there, it's got that little asynchronous hesitation right before they're like starting to stopping. You know, it's kind of unique. I mean, I don't remember anybody else, certainly at that time, doing that. You know, they were kind of the first. It was really hard trying to, if you're trying to learn it, because you're like, you know, wait, does it start? Does it stop? And my top pick, and you know, this is probably not like a huge shock, is the release of that year from Mr. Big, The Stories We Could Tell. You know, Gotta Love the Ride, Forget to Breathe. A lot of the studio tracks, they're really good. Not their best comeback era record, but it's still really good. And at the end, you get a live version of Addicted to That Rush, which, you know, kind of makes everything worthwhile, really. I mean, you hear that live, it's pretty good. I mean, I saw them the first time right across the street. Well, not now from where you are. It's right next door. They were at the Class.
Oh, wow. I almost forgot they played there. Yeah,
they played the Class, and then like 6 weeks later, they played the Fairgrounds because that song hit. Was there a big ballad there? It was like one of their worst songs.
I don't remember
that. To Be With You.
To Be With You, yeah.
So who'd they play at the Fairgrounds with? Who would they?
They were the headliner. The opening act was Steve Stevens, I think, and
you were talking the old Fairgrounds,
guy from
big
Journey,
stage.
I think. Wasn't the guy from Journey?
Maybe. I don't think I was at that show. What year were you talking about? Was it around 90?
Very early.
And like 91 or something.
91,
92.
All right. Yeah. I probably
was the tour that was sponsored by Makita. Literally.
Okay.
It was a sponsor because they were doing that power drill shtick.
Yeah.
They were all like wearing Makita belts, and the big backdrop was Makita power drills, and it was funny, you know. I mean, it was kind of campy, but it was funny.
Till he got his hair hung in it. His hair got caught.
Yeah, Billy Sheehan, right? Didn't he get his hair?
No, it was the guitar player.
Paul Gilbert.
Paul Gilbert got his hair caught.
Was it him? I know one of them did. Yeah, yeah.
Then he came out, his hair was cut, so he wouldn't do it again.
Yeah, man, you get that shit caught in the power drill, man. The only thing they can do is hack it off. They ain't gonna pull it out. Yeah. I saw Paul Gilbert like 2 years ago with Nita Strauss. They both did the same thing. They no vocalists. They just came out and noodled for an hour each, and I was kind of like,
dude's amazing.
After like, yeah, he's great, but they got to get a vocalist, man. Somebody's got to sing that stuff. You just can't play slide guitar for the rhythm. It's just not for me. It just didn't hold my attention. But that's what I got, and I have one honorable mention if we get around to it.
Yeah, we'll loop back to that. And a good friend of mine is actually on the road with Mr. Big right now, Sydney Anna Taylor.
Sid.
Yeah,
is out there doing merch, and I believe they're in Europe right now. So Sydney's
Right.
out on the road, and she did the U.S. tour already. So
yeah,
cool. So let's head over to someone that hasn't been on the channel in a little bit. I think he joined us on the end of the year for the best records of last year. We got Omar, also known as the Ravenous Ghoul, back with us tonight to give us his top 10 rundown.
Well, Steve, thank you for bringing me back. The 2014, there were a lot of great albums that year. I looked at my list to see what I can find, but I also looked at top album lists of that year that other writers wrote, just to make sure I didn't miss anything, but I know that I certainly did, but I did my best. So I'll start off with number 10. It is from New Jersey, Overkill, White Devil.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah.
I believe this is album number 17, I think. I'm not sure. Nevertheless, it's another great album from Overkill. I mean, they put on high quality, and they've been on a great streak lately, putting out great album after great album. So this is another excellent album on their long catalog. So, number 9, this band from Pennsylvania, known as Black Crown Initiate, technical death metal band. This was their debut album. Excellent record, crushing, heavy. They combine heavy, dark, or heavy, thick vocals with clean vocals. They do it really well. So this was really an album of from a new band that really showed great promise. So this is something definitely worth checking out. The number 8. I know many of you will recognize this. Behemoth, the Satanist. Yes. So anyway, some people say it's their best album. I think it's one of their best, but nevertheless, it's a fantastic record, flawless album. So now number 7, here we are. Cannibal Corpse. a skeletal domain. I've lost track of which album is this. I know they have so many, but it's another great record from Cannibal Corpse. So this is one of my favorites. Number 6.
Yeah, it's a really good album, and it's kind of in between two other albums, so it's kind of, it doesn't get the recognition it deserves.
You're right about that, because no one, they have so many great albums. Some will get lost in the mix, but that one does not get as much talk as maybe it should. So, but it's one of my favorites. Anyway, next one, Goat Whore, Constricting Rage of the Merciless. This is probably my favorite Goat Whore album, but I mean, every album they make is fantastic. So it's basically what you get from every album, just pure demonic rage. So relentless. The number 5. Okay, here we go. From California, Fallujah.
Cool.
Flesh Fails. This album was my introduction into technical death metal. So when I first discovered them, that basically led me into that group, that category of metal, which has become one of my favorites since then. So this really is probably their best album. It's a masterpiece. They are doing a tour this summer where they're going to play this album in full, which is going to be awesome. And they're actually playing in Albany, which is not far from where I am. So
cool.
I'm being there. So anyway, Flesh Prevails, Fallujah. So now number 4. This band from Switzerland, Shamash. If I'm pronouncing it correctly, I may not be. This album is called Contradiction. It's hard to explain the style of this album, of this band, because they use so many different styles. I mean, it's elements of black metal, extreme metal, but what they do consistently, what they do without a doubt, is just this massive dark sound, ambient, heavy, and which really, I think they're one of the best bands out there. So if you have not heard of Shamash, check them out. This is a great album. It's not even the best one, but it's a fantastic, flawless record. Which
is it like avant-garde?
Say again.
Is it like avant-garde black metal?
Yeah, it at times, yes.
Okay.
I mean, they have like this atmosphere to their style, which almost seems as if, almost like a ritualistic type of style. But it's so. I mean, there are times when they're heavy and crushing. There are times when it changes to this atmosphere vibe. So really, they have there's kind of a very different kind of style. So
cool. I'll definitely check it out.
It's called Contradiction. It's a great record, but every album they've made is outstanding. So check them out. Top 3. From Greece, Septic Flesh, Titan. They have they have so many albums, but this is among the albums that they began making that have that heavy, extreme emphasis on the symphonic sound. And this one, I mean, they did a couple of albums ever since shifting to the symphonic sound, and this one really masters it. So it's one of their best records. So
their bass player actually draws the front covers for Belphegor.
Yes.
Oh, does he?
Okay. If you look at their album, the album artwork, the style is very similar. So very well done.
For sure.
So top 2. Number 2, from Australia, Neoplaviscaris.
You got Aussie too. Cool.
I have three variants of this album. Absolutely love this album. Incredible. It's their second record. And every record they make is amazing. This one, I don't know if it's their best, but it might be. Actually, no, I think their first album was their best. But this album, however, is still an incredible, incredible record. So, okay. And then last, from the UK, Electric Wizard, Time to Die.
Cool.
They've been around for a long time. And this album, they made a number of albums before this one, but this is just another great record in their in their discography. So that's what I got, Steve.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining us. And
they've been around since 1990.
Do you have a couple of honorable mentions? So we're going to wrap around to you at the end.
I do.
All right, great. All right, I think we're going to go to our center square and keep it heavy here because we've got Count Ralphus. He has a goat whore hat and a Belphegor shirt. So I imagine he may talk about both of those bands. And sorry about not letting Levin in the door earlier. We were wondering where he was and it wasn't showing up on the Zoom, but he's here too. So we're going to get his picks. Tony Dio, Tracy, get mine, and hope everybody's enjoying the show after a little hiccup in the beginning there. How's it going, Ralph?
I'm just gonna do the 5 right now because I don't know what other 5 because you didn't put it that way.
That's fine. I mean, if you only got 5, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll throw all the honorables in after. But yeah, first I'll put Triptychon. It's Milana Chasmata. Great Tom Warrior returning with a very Celtic Frost kind of sound. This one been talked about already is the Goat Whore. One of the greatest bands out there. I love everything they put out. They never disappoint. This is a real classic album. Here's one that no one's talked about yet. Origin, Omnipresent, technical.
Yes.
Metal, so fast. Some of their albums are just some of the fastest stuff out there.
John's really amazing.
With awesome production to be that fast and heavy and everything sounds clear. This is really killer. Autopsy, another one that hasn't been mentioned. Hacksaws, Chainsaws, and Graves. And then our boy John McEntee's band, I have to go with Dirges of Elysium.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's my top 5 for now, and I got a bunch more. I got 15 other ones.
Yeah, quite a few to pick from this year. I'm gonna head down to North Carolina and see Tony Dio. What's up, brother?
Oh yeah, this was kind of tough because I had to go back and it's like it doesn't seem like some of these albums have been out for 10 years. I mean, it's like time just flies. And I was trying to think of this. Basically, I had to kind of go online and start going, what came out in 2014? And then I started like going back to a lot of stuff that you don't even find listed online or anything. So of course mine's going to be a little lighter here, but I'm going to start out with the debut from Night Demon. Love this band, just a great traditional heavy metal band, very new wave of British metal influence. In fact, they actually cover, this is a bunch of originals, but they actually cover 2 from the new wave of British metal. They do Jaguar, they do Axe Crazy by Jaguar, and they do Lightning to the Nations from Diamond Head on this. Yeah, this was their debut album, and I saw them opening for Raven when they were out supporting it. Great band. Number 4, I'm gonna go with just a good rock and roll band, Kix. This was Rock Your Face Off. This was their first album in almost 20 years. They reformed and started playing again. And Kix is one of those bands that gets thrown into glam rock and hair metal and all this. They predated all of that. They're just a good rock and roll band. They never wore makeup or anything like that. They actually, when they started in the late 70s, they used to play a lot with punk bands. But it's just part Cheap Trick, part AC/DC, just rock and roll. Good, solid, just, rock and roll record here. And I have a good friend of mine co-wrote a couple tracks on this as well. But yeah, I listened to this a lot that year. I remember going back to it. So number 3 here, we're going to go with a melodic rock band from Sweden. They're called Heat. And I really, really like this record. It's called Tearing Down the Walls. Just good melodic, heavy rock. The singer, Eric Growall, is now the lead singer in Skid Row. This was the band that he got famous with over in Europe. Got his name out there. But it's just a good, solid rock record. Number 2, a comeback record of sorts. Unleashed to Fire by Riot, but they changed their name to Riot 5 during this period. And this came out after Mark Reale, the founder, had passed away. And they regrouped and it's made an excellent album. I had brought in a new singer, Todd Michael Hall. He's an amazing singer, great front man. And it's some former members that that had been in Riot, Donnie Van Stavern and Mike Flitz, of course, Frank Gilchrist. And I saw them. They played the Ragnarocker Fest in Chicago, and during this period, right after it came out, and it was just an amazing show. It's the first time I ever saw any version of Riot, because I was supposed to see them several times over the years, and the tours would get canceled and so forth. So I finally got to see some sort of the band, and even though it's more of a tribute, to Mark, but this is a fantastic record. I love this one. Just and it follows more into the Thundersteel period of Riot, when they were more power metal, more fast paced stuff.
That guy on the cover, that guy got a seal head?
Oh yeah, of course, man. They got to have the mighty Tior on there. Yeah, he's got a little more muscular here. He looks like he's been hanging out with Manowar or something.
Now.
Yeah,
the coolest I've ever seen him.
Yeah, he's pretty tough looking there. Not the sumo wrestler like back in the day. And my number one is Chicago's High Spirits. Love these guys. Just a good heavy rock band. They seem to go over very well with the metal crowd. I mean, I've seen them play festivals with death metal bands, and you see death metal guys are all out there into their into the songs when High Spirits is playing. They just got catchy songs. I mean, you got little parts of Maiden, Triumph, just straight up, maybe even some Riot thrown in there, some just classic heavy metal. But this is their second album, and it's a really, really catchy songs on here. Great stuff. Cool guitar work, cool guitar harmonies. But yeah, the great band. I got to see them around that same period when they put this out as well. But yeah, that's gonna be my top 5, and we can come back around. I got a few honorable mentions later.
Excellent. Cool. So we got me, Tracy, and Stephen Levin left. So who wants to go next? Tracy, Steve? Well, we made Steve wait outside. How about we
Are you ready,
him...
Steve?
You ready,
He's been
Steve?
out in the cold.
And then we'll go to Tracy, and then I'll wrap it up and go back around.
Right on. So yeah, no worries, man. Technical difficulties gave me some time to relax, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, it's all. So I have 6 picks that I want to talk about real quick, and then I do have some honorable mentions. So this is in no particular order either, because I love all these albums. So the first one I want to talk about is a band that's from North Carolina. It's possible that Tony's heard of them before. It's a band called Wretched. They're a great band. Eventually, some of the members ended up playing in Through the Eyes of the Dead. My buddy Steve Thundermark, Stephen Thundermark plays in the band. He's a great guitarist. He's super technical. The band is a lot in the realm of Black Dahlia Murder. It's really super, it's metalcore, stop and go, super catchy stuff. I really dig the band. These guys were really young when they started. I think that they actually went on some sort of tour during Christmas break at some point. So I think that that's really cool, to start that young. But yeah, great band, way ahead of their time. My fave songs on the album are Calloused, Thin Skinned, which has a great lead and breakdowns, really cool tribal drums in it, Cranial Infestation, and To the Flies, which is really just epic and atmospheric. The next album I'd like to talk about is this band, Vulvodynia. They had their debut album this year, Cognizant Castigation. Absolutely incredible, techie, deathcore. They were actually more slammy at this point. They kind of morphed into deathcore and started doing something that was a little bit more, I don't want to say for the masses, because they certainly aren't, but just something that was a little bit more out there. This is really just straight to the point slam. Duncan Bentley's one of the greatest singers in this realm. He's so good. When he performs live, he does all the different voices that he does on the album. He never runs out of breath. He never hesitates. It's a shame he's not with the band anymore. I wish that somehow there was some sort of amends there. The real loss comes to the fans, honestly, because he was the perfect singer for this band. And I'm not taking anything away from Lawin Dilly, who's a great vocalist and such a nice guy. But just when they had him in the band, they were great. If you like absolute slam metal, check them out. My fave songs on this album are The Oppressor, Unseen, Monetary Malevolence, Unveiling the Abomination, and indoctrinated into the void from start to finish. It's one of my favorite albums. Definitely should check it out. Next album I want to talk about is Cannabis Corpse. This band right here. I know the band kind of sounds like
I didn't realize they had a release, yes.
It's really easy to take them as a joke, you know what I mean? Because the name, and every single one of their songs basically has a weed reference in it. So, you know, it's kind of...
Can you read some of them? Because they're great.
Yeah.
And they're like takeoffs of famous death metal titles, too. So that's what's even funny.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't just stick to Cannibal Corpse. But my fave songs on the album are Baptized in Bud, Zero Tolerance, which just has a great lead and a really sick ending. Individual Weed Patterns, you know, of course.
Patterns, yes.
Voice of the Bowl, which in the middle, like right in the middle of the song, it has it's so much like Scourge of Iron, but it's not, you know. And this is the thing about these guys, is even though, like I said, they sound like a joke, they're amazing. And this album, I mean, it just rules. And
yeah, I remember much.
Yeah, it's just too much. And I mean, it's Landfill from Municipal Waste. It's his side band, and his brother Hallhammer plays drums. And I remember at one point when they first started going, I think for like $200 they would come and play your party. And unfortunately, I never got them to do that. But you know, just a great band. And like I said, even though they're tongue in cheek, they're just amazing. The next album I want to talk about is right from New Jersey, Cognitive. This band right here is just a groundbreaking band to me. Amazing. Rob Wharton is the dude that I've known for a long time. He's one of the hardest working guys in metal. He has lost so many band members around him, and it's just because he is always touring. He's always moving forward, and other people have families and do whatever, and he just, you know, he just follows his dream of music, and he's gone from being in like independent releases to Unique Leaders, and then next year Metal Blade Records. So, you know, I mean, he's constantly moving forward. It's always a pleasure seeing him. And this was actually their first, the name of the album was Cognitive, it's self-titled. It was their very first full-length album. They actually had an EP out before that, The Hard Swarm, which is another one of my favorite. Somewhere up above me, the poster's hanging. But they're super techie death metal band with like breakdowns, but they're like beyond that. They're really, really musical. I love this lineup on the album. Like I said, the lineup's changed many times. They had a drummer named Art Castro, who was just amazing. He had like just really cool phrasings that were a little bit different than what other people do. And playing lead guitar was Jake Iannaco. I'm probably pronounced his name wrong. I'm really sorry, Jake. Jake is a really cool guy. And one thing that was really cool about these guys is they hung out at Rock Fantasy a couple times. They played on Sound Silent at least 2 or 3 times. So, you know, they were a band that we knew pretty much personally. And like I said, every time I see Rob, it's always good to see him. So, and it's always great to see friends of mine succeeding in what they do. So he works really hard and he gets what he deserves, you know, definitely. Metal Blade Records now. So that's pretty successful as far as you could say is, you know, in the metal world. Next album I want to talk about is also from Greece. I know that Omar talked about Septic Flesh, Dead Congregation, Promulgation. This is an amazing band. They're along the lines of Incantation, I would say. This is their second full length, and it's really, really evil, atmospheric, have some stuff that sounds a little bit Immolation-like, super slow and doomy. If you like Incantation and Immolation, definitely check them out. My fave songs on this is Ashes Remain, Schisma, which is one that is actually really Immolation-like, Immaculate Poison, and From a Wretched Womb, which is probably my favorite song on the album. It's just really good. And my favorite one of this year is Diocletian Gasundrian. These guys are from New Zealand. It's bombastic. It's war. It's hell. When you listen to this album, it literally sounds like you're on a fucking battlefield. I swear to God, dude, it just is relentless. It never lets down, along the lines like Destroyer 666. My favorite from last week, Impiety, Angel Corpse. Sick double bass drumming, crazy fucking wailing leads. It's just, like I said, it's all I can say is I listened to it like 3 times since we had this assignment, and holy fuck, it gets my absolute top recommendation. Diocletian. I know it's hard to figure out. And like I said, the name of this album is Gasundrian. And my fave songs on this are Wretched Sons, Summoning Fear, which is so relentless. I actually wrote here, it's like getting stuck in the middle of an airstrike. So God forbid that ever happens to us, but if it does, listen to this fucking song and, you know, maybe you'll be protected. Maybe it'll make the planes disappear. Who knows? Trader's Gallow and Beast the Top, the Trapezoid is an epic song. They get my top recommendation. And yeah, that's all I have for now. And I have a few honorable mentions.
Cool.
Steve, can you send that to me after the show?
Oh, I'd be more than happy to.
Oh, that would be awesome. I'd
I
love to
was
listen.
sure, and you were talking about the Kiwi band, that you were going to talk about Alien Weaponry or something.
I'm sorry, which band?
Alien Weaponry or
Weaponry.
Alien Weaponry?
Okay. Yeah, that was funny because when Omar said the band from Greece, I'm like, is he going to say Dead Congregation? So I'm always happy that we have different picks because it makes it interesting, you know. And I'm always happy to share knowledge and receive knowledge as well. You know, that's half the fun of it. I saw a little meme that said, people that give you new music are super important in your life. And that's really true, you know. So
very true.
I appreciate you guys.
And it's good to have a little variety on the channel too. We got people like different styles of music. That's what I'm aiming for in these years when we pick out years. And Tracy, it's your turn. And any of these are kind of more obscure things, you could always go on the on this after it's up on the YouTube channel and maybe even post some of the picks if you want, like Steve or Omar or Ove or anybody else, if you'd want to post your picks in there so they're printed right out so the viewers can check it out. Yep.
Yeah, sure.
When it goes up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, Tracy. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I wanted to start out with Pathology's release, Throne in Rage. At that point in time, it was the first year I had heard Pathology, so I had Matty White, but Ralph Santalo was also on that album, so they had some really interesting songs. So yeah, Alone and Relics of the Past were amazing because Ralph was playing guitar on it.
He was great.
Yes, he was an amazing man. And then I have Iced Earth, Plagues of Babylon, because you can't deny the culling, and Cthulhu and the Highwaymen. That just amazing. I had Goat Whore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because Bearing the Teeth of Revolt is one of my favorite songs that they do. I love that song. I had Behemoth on there. It was actually one of the first years I got to hear Behemoth. I really started to get back into the scene a little bit deeper in 2014. So I got to see out more outside my realm, which I was really sort of caught in the death metal groove of things and groove. Which brings us to Decapitated Blood Mantra.
Yes.
You know, amazing album. Blindness, Nest, and Veins are just amazing. Just love Decapitated.
You got two Polish bands in a row there.
Yeah. Let's see. And Origin, of course, because John Longstreth is my favorite drummer. I absolutely love John and just about anything he does. I follow John, you know. But Omnipresent was actually, I got a second copy of that through you, Steve, in one of my first trips.
Oh, okay.
To Rock Fantasy.
Thank you.
Yes. So yeah, one of my favorites. And then we've got Cannibal Corpse, Skeletal Domain.
Yeah.
You know, it's got high velocity impact spatter. You can't mistake that anywhere. Killer Become, which is still on their regular set list.
Yeah.
Let's see if I missed anybody here. And of course, my top one is Aborted. The Necrotic Manifesto. Wow. I listen to that album still today. Anything Aborted. Sven is the best front man ever. I'm sorry, the people are gonna be mad at me, but he puts on a hell of a stage show. That man's got more energy than 220-year-olds. He's just amazing on stage.
Cool.
I just got their new album in the mail. Was it a couple of days ago?
Yeah, the new album is coming out. Yes.
It's interesting because every song is a feature. But there was a point to this because he was on a very, very deathcore tour. So he sort of pulled everything all together and wanted to make it. I think he really wanted to unite the sounds. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's, you got brutal death and then deathcore. And he wanted people to know that, like, they're a part of us. You know what I mean? And unite that sound. In with our brutality, because the bands that he toured with were really amazing. So yeah, I catch him at anytime he's here in the States. So
cool. I guess you're going to come back for some honorable mentions, Tracy?
Yes, I got a couple.
All right, and so I guess it's my turn. I do have props from most of the stuff here. I'm going to start out at number 10 tonight with an album from an Irish band. It's their 8th studio album, Primordial, where greater men have fallen. Love this record. I almost forgot to put in the list. I had it on my notes late last week when I decided to go with this episode. I love the title track. The Seed of Tyrants is great. Alchemist's Head. It's just a solid album from start to finish. So I have a prop for that one. My number 9 has been spoken to by a few. The 6th studio album by Nola, Goat Whore, Constricting the Rage of the Merciless, released July 8th on Metal Blade Records that year. Tracks Bearing the Teeth of Revolt, Nocturnal Conjuration of the Accursed. There's a couple of the highlights for me off of that. The next album I have written down is the 17th studio album by metal legends Judas Priest. No one's mentioned so far tonight. The Redeemer of Souls. Thought this was a great record when it came out. I really loved the Halls of Valhalla. It's like Rob's doing the Viking metal with that. The title track, The Redeemer of Souls, is great. The Sword of Damocles.
Yeah, they put that on the set list this tour just now.
It is. Yeah, so strong record from Rob and the guys. Came out after Nostradamus. It was a big step forward for me. Number 7th, I do not have my prop. I couldn't find it today. It was not here, and it must be hidden somewhere in the store. It's a 7th studio album by Poland's Behemoth, the Satanist. Tracks I like off that are the Aura, Pro, Nobis, Lucifer. Of course, the start-off track, Blow Your Trumpets, Gabrielle. So I don't have a prop for that one. I do not have a prop for the next one either. I couldn't find that. I lost some stuff during the pandemic when I wasn't at the shop. I think some of my employees might have sold some of my records. I don't know. I looked for this record high and low all week, and I don't want to order another one, but it's quite expensive, I believe. The 6th studio album by Swiss folk metal band Elevete, Origins, released August 1st on Nuclear Blast. It was the last album to include Anna Murphy on vocals and hurdy-gurdy. My favorite tracks are King, I Call the Mountains, and Saltos. Number 5, I have we're going to Finland with Insomnium, which is the Finnish melodic death metal band. Shadows of the Dying Sun was released April 29th. My favorite tracks are While We Sleep, Blackheart Rebellion, and Primeval Dark. The next album I'm going to mention tonight, no one else has mentioned so far either, is the 11th studio album by Sweden's Opeth, Pale Communion, which is more of a prog record than anything. That's where, of course, only clean vocals on this album, but I really dig it. It was released August 26th on Roadrunner. Cusp of Eternity, Eternal Reigns, Goblin, Voice of Reason are some of my favorite tracks off of that album. as we move into number 3, correct? The fifth studio album by Norwegian black metal legends Mayhem with a Aesthetic Warfare, which I absolutely love. And it was released June 6th on Seasons of the Mist Records. This album takes you on a journey of epic, spacey, almost proggy, heavy black metal featuring Attila's, of course, unique vocal styling. That's what the previous album, the lyrics focus less on the classically satanic themes of the band's early work, instead referring to the occult and conspiracy theory concepts such as psychic powers, mind control, and alien tampering with human evolution. My favorite tracks are Watchers, Psywar, and Throne of Time. I hadn't listened to this in a few years, and when I made this assignment, thinking we did 20 years last week, let's do 10, and I revisited this album quite a bit this week. Number 2 is another band from Sweden, and a lot of people hate this band. I absolutely love them. It's a seventh studio from Sweden, Sabaton, who will be in the States with Judas Priest in a couple weeks. They're going to be opening up the whole tour. This is Heroes. It's released on May 6th on Nuclear Blast. It's a concept album. Is to pay homage to individuals instead of just battles, honoring soldiers who fought in various wars and battles of World War II. My favorite tracks are the opening track, The Night Witches, which pays homage to the Russian 588th Night Bomber Regiment, a nickname the Germans gave to the all-female military aviators. The I'll tell you a little bit about the song. I'm doing a history lesson. It's like History Channel here. The attack technique of the night bombers involved idling their engines near the target and gliding into the bomb release points with only wind noise left to reveal their presence. The German soldiers likened the sound to broomsticks, and hence the name, the pilots, the Night Witches. Due to the weight of the bombs and the low altitude of flight, the pilots did not even carry parachutes until 1944. They were true daredevils. And Track 2, Resist and Bite, tells the story of the Chasseurs Ardennes, an infantry formation on the Belgian armed forces that fought in the Battle of Belgium in World War II. Resist and Bite and then track number 3, To Hell and Back, is dedicated to Audie Murphy, who's one of the most decorated American veterans of World War II, specifically his post-war battle with PTSD, based on his own poem, The Crosses Grow in Anzio, from this book, To Hell and Back. I really found out about Sabaton just after my father's passing. My father was a World War II vet that served in New Guinea, and my father was a big music fan, not into heavy metal so much, but he did work at Rock Fantasy back when we first started out. But I really wish I could share this music with him, because Sabaton just talks about a lot of World War II, and I'm sure my dad would have loved him. So maybe that's one reason that Sabaton is close to my heart too, but never got to share it with Dad. He passed just before I kind of discovered this band. And my number 1 album is going to be, let me get my notes. I got it all mixed up here. It's the 6th studio album by an American band, Mastodon. Another album I really dig. It's once more From Round the Sun. Some people are going to call me a poser, but I'm all across the board on this list tonight. And maybe I love Mastodon. This album also meant a lot to me. This was released on June 24th on Relapse Records. My favorite tracks are The Mother Lode. In September of this year, I was struck by a car in 2014. I make my 10th anniversary. And that song was a rally song as I laid in the hospital. For some reason, it was like a real positive message. And it was just like, the words are like, this time things will work out just fine. We won't let you slip away. That was just going through my head, just trying to get through the surgeries, out of the hospital, and get back home. I also dig this song High Road, and the title track Chimes at Midnight. So that was a real wake-up call for me. I was told by the paramedics when they picked me up, as it happened right in front of my house here. I was walking my dog. Dog got off the leash. Next thing you know, I'm laying on the road, and the paramedics picked me up. They said, "You're very lucky no matter what you go through, if you were over literally 2 inches, we have been scooping you up with a shovel. So,
Wow.
and
Wow.
I don't know. So, Mastodon, I didn't have that thinking that was going to be my number one, but I thought of the meaning behind that and listening to that in the hospital, and it really gave me the thing to put that to the top. Sometimes these albums aren't really necessary in any order as I look. I mean, all 10 of these albums I like a lot, but of course you had to put them in some kind of order tonight too. I've got a lot of honorable mentions. Of course, some people may mention them as we go around again. So we'll kick it back. So who did we start off? We started off with Ove, right? Come on, Ove. Then we'll go to Omar, Tuttle, Ralphus, Dio, Levin, and Tracy, correct? I think that was my brain's kind of rattled too. I got the olds, as Chris Allen would say on the Hudson Valley Squares.
Yes, so my first one is a cool band called Texas Hippie Coalition.
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen them live, and they are something to behold. And this album is right on. I got Smashing Pumpkins with Moment of Eulogy. I've liked Smashing Pumpkins since the 90s. It's
Smashing Pumpkins, you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And of course, I gotta have Black Label Society with the Catacombs of the Black Vatican.
Okay.
And Crowbar with Symmetry in Black. And my favorite honorable mention is a British band with a vocalist from Belgium called Death Penalty in honor of the band Death Penalty. And they are kind of doomy, cool stuff with female vocals.
Okay.
I have just one album.
Cool.
Is that the band with the guy from Cathedral?
Yep.
Yeah.
Gas Jennings.
Gaz. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember hearing that when it came out. That was good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I'm friends with the vocalist to this day. She's really cool.
Cool. We're good, Alvy?
Hey, before she's like art.
Okay.
Do art and stuff.
Cool. Anything else, Ovi?
Nope.
Before we go any further, I'm going to give the picks from Ed Farsley, of course, Armageddon Productions, who's down at the Hell's Hero Festival in Texas this week, along with our good friend Chris Caffrey from the channel is down there also. He's going to be performing with Dora Pesh this week. They're doing a special Warlock set. So kind of reason I switched episodes around. Originally, we were going to talk about Priest, Invincible Shield, and KK's Priest this week with his latest release. But Chris really wanted to do the episode, as did Ed. So we're going to push that back to next week. That's why we kind of swapped around some programming. I got yelled at by Ovi to make up my mind the other day. What's the matter, man? So anyhow, I've got some picks from Ed. Starting out at number 10 was Black Anvil with Hail Death. Number 9 is Obituary, Inked in Blood. Number 8 is Iron Saber, Rise of the Hero. Number 7 was Autopsy, which Ralph mentioned, Tourniquets, Hacksaws, and Graves. Number 6 was Hyrax with Immortal Legacy. Number 5 was Tankard and RIB. Number 4 was Hellstar with This Wicked Nest. Number 3 was Holy Moses with Redefined Mayhem.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Number 2 was Overkill, White Devil Armory. And number 1, no one's mentioned this yet tonight, was the album by Accept, Blind Rage. I also have Christian Mariano's picks, regular on the channel, couldn't be here tonight either. I'm going to start with, I don't know if these are any order or not, but I'll just go down the list. Body Count with Manslaughter. The Meatmen with Savage Sagas Exodus. Savage Sagas, rather. Exodus with Blood In, Blood Out. Accept with Blind Rage, and Judas Priest with The Redeemer of Souls. I also have Craig Kaminsky's picks tonight, which I'll start out at number 5 with Exodus, Blood In, Blood Out. Number 4, Uriah Heep, The Outsider. Number 3 with Overkill, White Devil Armory. Number 2 is Ace Frehley, Space Invader. And number 1 was Nashville Pussy, Up the Dosage. So those are the picks from those that weren't here tonight.
Good stuff in there.
got that taken care of, and a couple more things that were noted that we didn't mention so far tonight. So we're going to head over to Omar now. Sorry for the wait, and we'll go through.
Okay, well, I have only 3 for honorable mentions. Now, this band, I'm probably messing. I'm not pronouncing the name of this band correctly, but this band is from Iceland, and it seems like anytime I try to pronounce the band of a name from Iceland, I get it all wrong. So, but I will do my best. I believe it's called or pronounced Solstafir.
Yeah,
That's all stuff here. Yeah, I saw him live last year.
This album is called, well, it's spelled OTTA, so Ota. It used to be, I believe they began as a more of a black metal style band, but now years they made a transition to more of a hard rock type of style that's more ambient. And like if you look at the artwork here, it shows this man who's standing on the black beaches of Iceland, very rocky, very scenic, and it looks like it's freezing. But anyway, I mentioned that just because like something about this album, some of the songs, it has this feel to it. It just makes me think of the landscape of Iceland, even though I've never been there, but I've seen pictures of it, and it's an incredible looking place. So anyway, they really put a lot of emotion in their music, and it's just, again, very ambient. It has this mood to it. It's not crushing, it's not heavy, but it's just really something you can play and kind of like lay back and just imagine just incredible landscapes, basically. So anyway, they have a number of albums. This one, I can't recall which one is it, but it's not the latest album, but it's another great record from Solstafir.
They are fantastic live. If you guys get the chance to see them live, see them. I saw them on a Friday, and I still had ringing in my ears on Sunday. It was so loud.
They don't come
so great.
But they came to the States, I think maybe like 7 years ago. I saw them in New York, and they were awesome.
Okay.
So next, and Steve, you mentioned this band also, Helveti Origins.
Nice.
Love this album. I think every album they make is awesome, is great. This is folk metal, but they're also really heavy as well.
Yes.
Surprisingly heavy. They're extremely heavy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They really tear it up, but they also know how to balance it too. So they have those folk elements, and then they go back to the more crushing style. So they do it really well. So love this album. Fantastic.
They're a well-oiled machine live on stage, man. Wow.
Indeed. And then last, no one mentioned this. 1349.
Cool.
Oh yeah, I've seen them live.
Massive Cauldron of Chaos.
Yeah.
Like all their albums, it's just relentless demonic rage, black metal. I mean, they destroy every single song. So another great record. So they're due for a new album. I hope they're in the works. So I haven't heard from them in a while. But anyway, 1349, here we are.
They actually have a tour coming to the States.
Dude, oh yeah. Right,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
won't be able to make it, unfortunately, but yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to make it to that one either, most likely. Mr. Tuttle, do you got anything left?
Yeah, I got a couple left. One of them I didn't realize was released.
Omar, you were done, right?
I'm all done.
Oh, sorry. All right, go ahead, Rob.
Okay. So, one I didn't realize was released in 2014, and so I kind of just absconded it. Goat Horn. I didn't realize that album came out in 2014. It's like Tony said, I was having a hard time of like picking out what was 2014. It's like some of the ones I looked on there, even like with Ace Frehley, I was like, that was 2014. That was 10 years ago. Damn.
Yeah. It's flown by.
It didn't seem like 10 years ago, So yeah, that one I definitely have to put on the list. This one I'm kind of up and down about. I kind of have like a nostalgic kind of memories of Quiet Riot.
Oh wow.
They came out with that album, was it 10? And it's not one of their best albums. I mean, a lot of their later releases weren't all that great, but I don't know. I mean, I've met Rudy Sarzo a couple times, and he's kind of a cool guy. So, and 1983 when that Metal Health came out, it was kind of like Upset Everything. It was the only metal album to make it to like #1 on the charts, and I think I was a senior in high school, so yeah, it's kind of like a nostalgic thing, and it wasn't terrible, but it certainly wasn't Metal Health either.
And Rudy's trying to go at it again.
Rudy is the only one going at it again, and he's not even the original member of the band. He's the only original member, and he's not even an original member. But I've met him a couple of times. He's like a fantastic guy.
Yeah, super cool guy, super nice.
Oh man, he's like ridiculously cool. And he's got that where he remembers everything, because like he remembers me and he remembers I have a Rickenbacker. I don't know, you know. It's kind of like I know him, but I don't know. And this is like I really when my son like turned me on to this band and another musician friend of mine, I kind of didn't want to like him because I'm not a parody kind of fan, you know. I'm not like, you know, like Weird Al kind of things, but Steel Panther released, you know, All You Can Eat in 2014, and it, you know, made their seminal hit, well, if you call it hit, Glory Hole, where they bring up everybody up on stage, and I really didn't want to like them, and I got dragged to one of their shows at the Chance, and I was like, wow, this is actually pretty good.
They're hilarious. It's like a,
you know,
it's like a comedy show.
and the drummer and the lead singer. I mean, they're all. I mean, outside of like, no, I'm not a big fan of all the, you know, the pussy jokes for 20 minutes straight. It's just not my thing. But you know, when you put their talent together, I mean, these guys are like ridiculously talented. I mean, the guitar player is like insane. You know, the drummer the same way. The bass player is kind of just there. I guess he's like their manager, literally. Like when they got rid of the other guy, they just put their manager as the bass player. But you know, I'm not a big fan of the Topics, but their musicianship is over the top, and so I got to put that on there from 2014.
Cool.
And yeah, that's what I got. Those are my my dark horse you know, picks there.
A lot of people don't realize that Satchel, real name Russ Paris, was originally in Fight with Rob Halford.
Yeah, he was in Fight.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I can remember being in Vegas years and years ago. I can't put an exact date on it. And they were like, at that time, I don't think they were a national, but they were like a Vegas house band that did like
they were Metal School, right?
Like
Metal
metal
School. Yeah, I saw them as Metal School.
Hair metal parody or whatever you want to say what it is. Yeah.
They were the ones on the Gene Simmons roast, weren't they? Weren't they the ones doing
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
The little house band they had off to the side?
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yep.
So where did I leave off next? I think we went to Ralph and then to Tony and then to Steve and to Tracy. What do you got? Ralph, you probably got a few to talk about.
Yep. Really quick on that Steel Panther is like, I remember they were opening up for Judas Priest on that one tour. I was like, how the fuck is this band on the bill? And they ended up being hilarious. They were really fun.
Yeah, they're really good. You know,
and then you hear about the connection with Halford and the guy. You know,
he's got street cred. You know.
Yeah.
Another thing too is a couple of people have mentioned like looking up the list, because like it's hard to remember what came out what year. I always have to look at the list, but yeah, you have to put in best metal releases or best death metal, and then you got to put in punk hardcore releases, classic rock releases. Like you got to go through multiple lists, because every time we do this as we go, I hear things and go, oh, I didn't see that on the list. Like when you see me jumping up, it's like I'm going to grab something. Like one thing is Christian just brought up is the Savage Sagas of the Meatmen, and I put in the punk hardcore list, and this didn't come up, but I love this album.
Okay.
And since I'm thinking punk hardcore, off Wasted Years, Keith Morris from the Circle Jerks, pretty much continuing that vein of Circle Jerks hardcore music, hardcore punk. And one last hardcore album, Sick of It All. Got this one signed by the singer. It's a great album cover. You can see it. It's called The Last Act of Defiance. And it's a snake eating a rat, but the rat's biting the snake in the ass like one last time before he gets swallowed. Really cool. Now I got a lot of them that have been mentioned already. The Obituary, Inked in Blood.
Yeah.
Esoteric Warfare by Mayhem.
Yeah.
There's another band from Poland that we didn't mention. Is the Vader.
Yes, Vader. Yeah.
The title in Polish, so I'm not even gonna try to say it. But the Satanist by Behemoth got mentioned. Cannibal Corpse, Skeletal Remains. This is the first time I don't put this in the top 5. It seems like every time we pick a year, there's a Cannibal Corpse album.
Yeah.
That's why these albums get lost. Like someone was saying, it said, you know, they just pump them out. They had so many, and they're all great though. There's not one album that I don't like by this band, but there's so much of it. It's hard to absorb it, and then another one hits you the next year. Here's one that hasn't been mentioned. At War with Reality by At the Gates.
That's on my honorable list. Yeah.
The Ace Frehley.
Last summer.
talk some like hard rock kind of stuff. As someone already bring up the Ace Frehley.
Yeah.
Here's one that didn't get brought up, and this is my AC/DC rocker bust.
I was just gonna say, is someone gonna forget that AC/DC had a record that year? Because I almost had it in my top 10.
forgot. I totally forgot. Yeah.
Great album.
It's got that hologram cover and cool
It was a solid record. I remember that came out later in the year, like maybe December, November of that year.
I even got a full can of rock and roll bust AC/DC beer.
Oh yeah, I drank a few of those back then. We used to get them at Beer King.
If Angus Young ever passes away, that's what I'm saving it for. But
I don't know if it'll be very drinkable, but I don't know.
Oh, it will be.
It will be on there.
A quick thing about the AC/DCs, I remember at the time they were coming around, and I bought tickets for Madison Square Garden. I paid like $350 just for me and my wife, and we were like, she was like, "We're gonna pay that much." I'm like, "It's gonna be the last time they ever tour. They're never gonna put out another album and try to tour again." I'm like, "This is it. We just gotta go all out and get the tickets." And there's always such an amazing live show. We always had so much fun. So we get the tickets, and then Brian Johnson, leaves the tour with The Hearing, and they replace him with Axl Rose. And I got my money back because I was like, I'm not paying,
we're not going there.
I'm not paying $350 to go see it. And when I look back, though, I think, man, that was kind of a cool thing to see.
Yeah.
So I should have bought tickets again, but just not $350 tickets. I should have bought them like $50 tickets. I would have been cool to see, just to see Angus again. And it would have been unique seeing Axl play with him, but I wasn't paying that much money for it. And it's just so crazy that was 10 years ago. And I was saying, they're never going to put out an album again.
Yeah.
And here we are. They're ready to go on tour again. They're putting up dates for Europe and stuff.
I got to see that tour at Giant Stadium, MetLife.
Yeah, I was at that too with Anvil opening up. That was amazing seeing Anvil play in front of 80,000 people. That was
wow.
I love that show. I've talked about it before. There's a point where they did Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, and they turned all the lights out, and everybody was wearing those glowing horns.
Yeah.
It was like we were in hell, and it was like all these demons waiting for the gods to. It was just amazing. One of my favorite concert moments ever. Here's a weird one that no one mentioned is Surgical Remission Surplus Steel by Carcass. Here's a fully signed 10-inch.
Oh damn, man! I was just touching that album today too, and I didn't even think about it. Wow.
That's the EP, the 10-inch EP, right?
Yeah.
They came out after the album, and this is a 10-inch that I bought at the show.
No. I have that same thing I got from the show. I think it was autographed.
Yeah, fully autographed 10-inch gatefold. Cool.
If I have that.
Yeah, the Belphegor, which was mentioned, I got that. The Accept that Ed had in his list.
Yeah.
And Keeler put up the Redeemer of Gold, and this one's signed by Glenn Tipton, Richie Faulkner, and Rob Halford. I went to the record release at Hard Rock in New York City.
Oh, cool.
It was really cool. It was a beautiful day out. We were standing on line, and down the street comes this like 1950 something black Cadillac convertible, and those guys were in it, and they pulled right up in front of us, and we took pictures of them getting out of the car.
That's cool.
They signed them, and yeah, it was just a great memory. Oh, and the one album I'm going to mention that this was my biggest disappointment of the year is Pink Floyd says they're putting out an album, Endless River, and I just ran out and got it the second it came out, not realizing that it was like really one song and then bits of songs that they had laying around. You think they could have put them together and formed real songs around what they had, which would have been a lot cooler, but they just kind of threw it out there as like one last thing. And it's kind of sad thinking this is the last official release of Pink Floyd, and it's like that's what they put out,
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
one of those things. I forgot I even bought it. It's like I played it like once or twice, and it's one of those albums that you do that, and then it goes in the collection, and you just forget about it unless you're looking on a list for what came out that year, and you go, "Oh shit, I forgot all about that. I even own that fucking thing." But yeah, that's it for me. That's it.
Cool. Thanks, Ralph. And Tony Dio, what do you got left?
Yeah, I went to that that AC/DC tour as well. The one I totally forgot that album came out in 14, but honestly, I didn't buy it when it came out. It didn't really do much for what I heard. When I heard, I think Play Ball maybe was the first single. And I bought it a couple years ago. I found a copy and just add to the collection. And it's not a bad album, but yeah, I saw that tour as well. A friend of mine had an extra ticket, and his wife didn't want to go, so I went in with low expectations and walked out like, wow, that was really good, because I wasn't expecting Axl Rose to put his rock star ego aside and play fanboy, because he's like on stage with AC/DC. You know, he's wigging out every night, you know, didn't matter how big of a rock star he is, you know, and he picked a lot of the Bon Scott period stuff to do. Yeah. So yeah, that was really cool. You know, we
I
had
heard him say at the time that like he learned so much from AC/DC, like as far as like getting on stage on time, because they wouldn't have put up with any of that bullshit.
Yeah, totally.
AC/DC is a professional working machine, and he learned a lot by being in that band from him.
You got the pick, huh?
That's one of the pick. That's a Stevie Young pick from that show. Actually, a friend of mine was Stevie's guitar tech for that tour. So we actually went early that day and got to do the gear tour and look at the gear and hold Malcolm Young's Gretsch guitar that Stevie still plays in concert. It was really cool. But yeah, and I also forgot about the Priest album came out that year. That's another one that didn't do much for me when it first came out, and I picked it up in recent years, you know, to add to the collection. And I actually was listening to some of it the other day, because I've been on this Priest kick from the new records. I've been going back to a lot of Priest stuff. But some honorable mentions I've got definitely was the Triptychon. How's it? Milana Krasmata, how do you say it? But yeah, anything Warrior, check it out, you know. And great Geiger artwork on the cover, as it should be. But that's an honorable mention. Also, we've got For Those Which Are Asleep, which was the debut from The Skull, which is Eric Wagner, the great Eric Wagner, the late great Eric Wagner, and Ron Holzner from Trouble. This is their project after they left Trouble, and it's just a good doomy hard rock record. Yeah,
Tony, you seen them? Tony, you seen them like 2 weeks before he passed away, right?
No, I was supposed to see them, and he didn't play because he was sick. But I saw them before. Yeah, I've seen them. I saw them before. I saw them, you know, on this tour and stuff. But the last tour, he was supposed to play in Raleigh. They were touring with the Obsessed, and the Obsessed played, but the Skull didn't perform because Eric was sick in the hospital then.
Oh, Cavaluzzi told me he went to that show, and I figured you were there down in North Carolina. But I thought he said he's seen them play. I didn't.
No, they didn't. They didn't perform. No, it was a sad situation. Another one I'll go to is Blood In, Blood Out, which was, we saw the return of Zetro to Exodus. I was never big into the Rob Duke stuff myself. I mean, the music was cool, but Zetro's the voice of the band for me, and that was a really good record. And
Salt the Wound.
I'd like to add this one. This is Trial by Fire Live in North America from Satan. It's a live album.
Hell yeah.
And it was recorded as 6 shows on the North American tour. And I saw them on this tour, and it was the first time I'd ever seen them. I think it was the first time they've ever come to the US, actually.
I saw them on that tour too.
Yeah, it was so cool, and you get to hang out and, you know, talk to you know, like Steve Ramsey and everybody, you know, the guys. Some of the guys have been in Skyclad, and I was a fan of Skyclad, and was just always a fan of those early Satan records. And so that was a good one. And this has got all the, you know, the classic songs along with a few new tracks of that period for 2014.
I saw them in Brooklyn. I saw them in Brooklyn on that tour, and it's the same night as the Decibel magazine tour, which I believe was Carcass, Black Dahlia Murder, and I forget who else. So we were at the Palladium to see that show. I think we may have left right before, almost when it was over, hopped in a car and drove to Brooklyn and caught Satan, which was a late show that night. And I tell you, that Satan show, and I was like, where has this guy been? Like, he is just such a strong vocalist. And it was, my first exposure to them since the early 80s. And I'm like, this guy is like, was right there to my mind, was
and he's
right
still
there
doing
with
it.
all the greats. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's still doing it. We just saw him
Rough.
last year. He's pushing 70. And great singer still.
I mean, he's got voice like Halford or any of the greats. Yeah, for sure.
Yep, Brian Ross. Yep, that's what I've got. Yep.
Cool. All right, so Mr. Levin, you got anything else down there?
Yeah, I saw that tour last year too, and let me tell you, man, Satan live is ridiculous. I mean, they're so good. Brian Ross's voice, like you said, and Steve Ramsey and Russ Tippins are the nicest guys. I pestered both of them. They're probably like glad to see me go. Tequila Steve was in full force, but yeah, really nice guys. I got to talk to him for a while, and just gracious human beings, and still at the top of their game. So before I do my honorable mentions, I just want to make a clarification. I messed up on names before. I know I said that in the band Cognitive, the drummer was Art Castro. I know his name was Mike Castro, and the bassist at the time was Art Sikora. And I want to clarify that because I think that double espresso before this episode didn't help me this time. It got me a little.
I think I needed one.
Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking about that when we were going through this. So now that I've cleared that up, so my honorables, a lot of them already been mentioned before. I'm just gonna blast right through. There was a couple that didn't get mentioned, so that's kind of cool. But Incantation, Dirges of Elysian, that would have definitely made my top list if it weren't for the fact of the other ones. I mean, Incantation never disappoints. I love all their albums. Yep. This one wasn't mentioned. Angel Corpse, Iron Blood, and Blasphemy, which was a bunch of songs from the first album, Hammer of the Gods, some live cuts, and a couple cover songs. Angel Corpse, one of my favorite bands. I wish they had more production out as far as albums goes. I think they only have 4 full lengths, but great band. This one also wasn't mentioned. Sinister, Post-Apocalyptic Servant. Sick band, if you know. I'm not even going to go into the whole thing. Somebody mentioned the Vader, Tibi et Igni, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Triumph of Death, the translation on that. Behemoth the Satanist was mentioned. This one wasn't. Massacre Back from Beyond. It was their comeback album. A little bit later on, Rick Ross. We had Rick on the show before, and John got a little bit upset because Rick wasn't talking, but I thought it was so cool.
That was a good one.
There with us. That was a great episode. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Another band that wasn't mentioned, Deep Machine, Rising of the Machine, a new wave of British heavy metal band that only really had a demo back out in the day. Kevin Hayborn from Angel Witch actually stole a couple members from this band when he reformed Angel Witch a little bit later on after the original lineup had fallen apart. So this was a really good comeback album. If you like the new wave British heavy metal, I definitely suggest you check it out. And if you can, go back and try to find that original 4-song demo because it stands the test of time. And it's right up there with Angel Witch, is amongst some of my favorite stuff. The other album, Origin, Omnipresent, that was mentioned. And another one that everybody, I think, forgot about, I don't think it was mentioned, was Misery Index, The Killing Gods. So, Misery Index, Slammy, Dying Fetus, like, great band. And that's it for me.
Cool. Tracy.
Basically the only ones left. Well, I had Inked in Blood on, of course, and Abysmal Dawn released their first album in 2014 also. That's really all I had. Opulescence.
Great.
And Vulvodynia, because that's a me and Steve thing. Yes.
And I tell you, Tracy helped me a lot with last week. Well, last week she caught me because I had an album that I wanted on the list, and she said, Steve, you forgot Ensiferum. So thank you for that. And then she sent me a link of a great website. Maybe she could send that around to Ralph and Tony and a couple of the other guys. It really had a way more in-depth list of metal than, like, if you went to Wikipedia or something like that looking for research, it was way better. It had a lot of stuff that was not even listed. So definitely.
Is that the BNR metal pages?
No, is it Metal Archives?
No. I live by the Encyclopedia Metallum. I live by that too. Researching, but no, it wasn't. I'll post it up in the comments.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes,
cool.
yes.
Yeah,
So-
I remember the BNR pages. Those are years ago.
They
Yeah.
still
Is that
update it.
is that still up?
It's still up, and they still update it. I looked at it
Wow.
a couple of weeks ago.
Cool.
So I've got a couple honorable mentions. I don't think anyone has mentioned so far. Was Epica put out a pretty strong album, The Quantum Enigma, that year. Sonata Arctica, Pariah's Child, Evergrey, Hymns of the Broken, Agalach with the Serpent and the Spear, Ginger,
Yes.
Ginger with the Cloud Factory. We mentioned Belphegor, we mentioned Cannibal Corpse, the Nea Oblivicaris, Omar mentioned Delane, The Human Contradiction came out. We mentioned Overkill, we mentioned Decapitated. I think that's all I've got. So hey, viewers, please mention your favorite albums from this year. If you like what we're doing on the channel, please take a moment to subscribe and like and share it around on your social media and share it around for us to your friends and whatnot. And I want to thank everyone for their time tonight. Omar, the Ravenous Ghoul, you can find him on Instagram if you want to chat with him. We got Robert Tuttle from Lady Evil. If you're in the area this Friday night and you got nothing to do and you want to come out and listen to some great metal, we have Lady Evil. And who do you have opening up with you that night, Rob?
We have Joey Campo's Obsidian.
So it's going to be a good night.
It will be a
Cheap
good
night out in Middletown, $10 at the door, great food, hang out with us and enjoy some metal locally in Middletown, New York. We got Ove from Norway again. We got Count Ralphus, Tony Dio, Tracy Stanton. And Tracy, tell us about your radio station. You can listen to that all around the world, right? On the web.
Yes, WXAX Radio. You can find us right on the Google Play Store, right through the Apple app. We're also on Live 365. So you can get it right on your laptop. And I've just discovered you could stick it on your Roku.
Okay.
So
cool.
yeah, so I've been running it through the TV. Yep.
Yeah.
And Tony Dio, you hit a couple shows up last week. Did you see the KK Priest tour already?
Yeah, I did. It was great.
How was it?
Amazing?
Great. I mean, Burning Witches were on fire, literally.
The greatest.
The Burning Witches. But yeah, they were great. I mean, I love LA Guns, a great rock and roll band, but KK's Priest, man, they were just amazing. Ripper sounds great. And it was a good mix of, you had songs from the KK's Priest band with some classic Judas Priest. So it was a good mix. You're in for a good show. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Ripper.
And how's Reaper doing?
Reaper's doing great. The contest, I think for the quarterfinals ends tomorrow night. He's in 5th place. So if you guys want to vote, get on and vote for him, see if we can bring him back up some. But
Cool.
There's a lot of competition out there.
I
we
bet.
found out, you know. But yeah, he's doing good. He's taking it like a champ. So
cool. And Steve Levin, you were at a big metal fest over the weekend too, I heard.
Yeah, it was amazing. People came from all over. I mean, all across the country. It was super cool to see.
What fest was that?
It was New Jersey Death Fest 8.
Oh yeah.
Production. And Gutter always puts on great shows. He brings in bands that haven't played together, or a lot of reformations. We got to see Disgorge, which is they go under the name To Violently Vomit now. It's always great to see them. Call the Paramedics reunion tour, reunion show, which was amazing. Dripping reunion show. They haven't played in like 20 years. It was just amazing. I can't say enough. If he has a New York Death Fest, don't sleep on tickets. Get tickets before it sells out. He did have some walk-ups, so a lot of people, he didn't really turn anybody away, but wow, what a great show. And to see all these people come together. And I mean, there were really no fights, and there was a lot of crowd killers too, but everybody knows what's up. And, you know, it's all just a brotherly thing. And we had a great time. And yeah, I drank a lot, man. I'm still kind of recovering.
Did you bring your helmet, Steve? Did you bring your helmet?
No, I probably should have too, because I caught a couple. But after that, I was actually lucky. I got side stage for a bunch of bands. I got side stage for Waking the Cadaver and Malignancy and for 9 Dead. So that was super cool. I appreciate those guys for hooking me up, you know, because man, I love the music.
It was tight down there, I'm sure.
but this old ass doesn't want to be in that shit, dude. Maybe when I was younger, yeah, I don't play that game anymore, man. I get broken. There's some big boys out there, man. I'm not big. I'd have to put on a lot of poundage and a lot of muscle to hang with some of these cats, man. So, but yeah, it was a great time.
Cool. So anyhow, we're running pretty long. I'm gonna log out in a minute here. I want to thank everybody for being on tonight. And next week we'll be back and we will be talking Judas Priest and KK's Priest. Both are coming to the States. We're going to talk about their latest album and give them a little review and see what we like and if it's something we don't like about them. So we'll be back next week on the Rock Fantasy Files. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you next time.